r/askreddit.
As a teenager, I worked at a bowling alley. Within an hour, a new girl was fired on the spot for dropping a ball on the foot of a complaining patron.
Was this on purpose or accident?
Purposely.
Guy got hired, went through training and all that jazz. First day on the floor, he disappeared for 3 hours and then came back high as F on like meth or something. A manager found him in the bathroom aisle, staring at himself in the mirror. Said manager looked at the cameras after firing him. The guy was there staring at himself for at least 30 minutes. Edit. To clear up some questions. I worked at Home Depot. He was in the aisle where we sell bathroom countertops and medicine cabinets. We also have mirrors in this aisle, and that's where he was. Not in the bathroom, haha.
Shrooms are the original face-changing app. Edit. I am now Sevinx. My karma after a year on Reddit. Thanks for the wonderful words.
Took some shrooms. Said I had to pee. Everyone warned me not to look in the mirror. If you have even seen the Michael Jackson video Black or White, that was my trip. I could control it. I could choose a race. I love shrooms.
Worked in a grocery store for a while. New guy took a lobster out of the tank and removed the elastic bands on its claws, then proceeded to put it back in the tank. The thing murdered all the other lobsters in the tank.
I was halfway expecting a theft attempt by putting said live-and-free lobster down his pants.
I thought he was gonna chase coworkers with it. Not gonna lie, I'd find that funny.
3 hours into the first shift, guy lost it serving an annoying customer in a grocery shop. Throw a cabbage at her. The manager came and told him to go home because he finished there. He wasn't surprised. I was standing next to him. It was an entertaining day.
Did she deserve the cabbage?
As a grocery store employee, they all deserve the cabbage. I work construction. We had 2 new hires that were friends starting the same day. Boss told one take a coffee order and come back. Took everyone's money and said he needed his friend to go with him because it was a big order. They never came back.
They quit a construction job to steal and split the cash from a few coffee orders. I imagine if they had stayed and worked a full day, they would have earned more than that.
Yeah, but it's hard work.
A man was hired to do stock at a tea store that sold lots of delicate china. Manager walked into the back on his 3rd day and saw him just throwing boxes of teacups and teapots. Instantly fired.
I called a temp agency to get someone to help me count inventory. They sent a guy over with a cast on his arm. That was my first with the F, but I went with it because we were just counting parts. Then I came back from lunch, and this dude was in my office chair, zoned out and drooling on himself with a can of air duster in his lap. I kicked him awake and escorted him out of my warehouse. Never used that temp agency again.
Air duster, like most inhalants, can kill you in a snap. Lucky you found an idiot and not a corpse.
Wait.
A 19-year-old kid got hired to work the seafood counter. See him twice and then never again. Asked a coworker what happened. He had closed seafood one night and was walking out of the store, and the 5 pounds of crab legs he'd stuffed down the back of his pants fell out in front of the closing manager. Publix. No, it was not Jameis Winston.
Did this young man happen to win the Heisman Trophy?
He was intercepted by the closing manager, so yeah, it was probably him. New guy started on Monday and was gone by Friday. The guy hit some racking in the warehouse with the forklift. Boss saw him do it, and the guy decided to lie about it when asked if he knew what happened.
The only thing he did wrong was to lie to his boss. A shame, really. Mistakes happen, and then fakes happen, and then too most employers are cool about it if you own up to it. Lying, though, that's a bad idea. Edit. No castles or moats were involved. Just the pain of typing a comment on a tiny phone. Sorry.
I worked for a big home improvement store that I won't name. All I can say is the stores are orange. We had a guy come into work, shit-faced, and run one of the forklifts into the outdoor storage racks with customers around. Another employee forcibly removed him from the lift and dragged him to the back. Dude was given 2 options. Walk and potentially face criminal charges or go to an inpatient treatment center on the company's dime, and his job would be there if he wanted it after he got out. I can honestly say it's the one actually good thing I ever saw the company do at a corporate level.
This was just a summer job at a fast food place. We had a new girl start, and within 2 days it was apparent she was an idiot, and everyone knew that. You could already see the manager questioning his decision. Then on her 3rd day of work, she said she couldn't come in because her mom was in a car accident and in the hospital. Turns out that's an easy thing to disprove in a relatively small town.
Pretty shitty thing to lie about, let alone just to get out of work.
And on your 3rd. Edit. Day, 3rd day.
Corporate chain restaurant. New server, aged mid-30s. 3rd day he was working, we had to fire him mid-shift. Why? Dude went into the public restrooms with other guests, clearly in there using the urinal, and started doing lines of blow-off on the edge of the sink.
Why not just do it in the back with the cooking staff like everyone else?
'Cause then you might get asked to share.
About 35 minutes. I hired a guy to work for me as quality inspector for merchandise headed to Walmart, EAMP, Target. He bragged about everything he stole from his last job during training and how they paid him more than I did. Well, I'm not holding him back from all that money, so I had some big guys escort him off the property.
Had a guy say similar things about his old job once, and that they were really positive about him. Manager was happy to hear he would not be without a job for long when he fired him. Why even say stuff like that? Edit. So this comment tripled my Reddit karma.
Guy had been working a few days at a barn, decided to smoke right by bales of hay. Manager saw him and fired him right on the spot. At farms, you don't F around with fire.
Coworker quit his job, great pay, great benefits to work in a radio repair place. I mean, gotta do what you love, and he was also a big radio enthusiast. Got fired the first day on the job for stealing parts for his own radios at home. Took him over a year to get back with us. Surprised they rehired him. He then got fired for being a security risk about a year or so later.
Christ, he could have just asked if he could rummage through the e-waste bins. Most places are fine with that crap growing legs.
I used to do a lot of field work on site investigation programs. Basically, we'd hang out on a drill rig while the drillers took rock cores. We'd log the cores, take photos, do some down, hole tests, etc. New engineer gets sent to site and gets assigned the night shift. Some people love night shift, but most people don't. Hence, sticking the junior with night shift. After 5 nights, he calls the office and says he wants to come home because he's freezing and he hates it and he can't do it. Not clear to me if he quit or got fired, but it became plain pretty quickly that this job wasn't for him. I got pulled onto that program and I asked the drillers what the guy's deal was. They had a propane heater in the back of their van, and despite repeated invitations to sit in the back of the van, Buddy just sat in his truck all night and shivered in the middle of February.
Too good for the drillers, maybe. LOOL. Why wasn't his truck even turned on? Where I live, work vehicles don't even get shut off during February.
Good question. The driller van was huge too. Plus, they backed the van right up to the back of the rig, because it's where they kept all their rods and stuff, so it gave you a front row seat to the drilling.
Guy got hired while going through orientation, realized that his ex-girlfriend worked there too, turned around and walked right out the front door.
My man.
Heard this from a manager I worked with when I worked in fast food. There was this one kid who didn't show up for work. He ditched work often, so the manager called around, couldn't get anyone to fill in his shift, so she had to fill it for him. A few hours into his shift, the dude ditching shows up with his friends and orders food from that manager. She fired him on the spot. Idiot! These were my first awards, and y'all just multiplied my karma by 10. Thanks y'all for the likes and awards.
Not sure if it counts as being fired, but a guy in our basic training threatened a drill sergeant with a bayonet. No idea what happened after he went to the hospital, but I didn't see him again.
Couldn't pass the simple tests given at the end of new hire orientation. Yelled at test facilitator when she wouldn't just take the test for him.
Guy showed up to work on his first day with the smell of alcohol on his breath. 7-arm. When questioned, he admitted to taking a couple swigs on the ways in to calm his first day nerves. Yeah, fired on the spot. Worked here less than 20 minutes.
New director starts at lunchtime, goes to cafeteria, pays for the first salad plate by weight, then goes back twice for refills without paying. Cafeteria has cameras. Cafeteria manager talks to the partner in charge. New director fired before the end of day.
Didn't like the boss, and on the first day took a piss in the gas tank of his Jeep. bragged about it, and it was recorded too.
A week. I worked in a bar and a new girl started. At work she seemed a little rug, but was fine. One day she finished a shift, sat at the bar, and ordered a red wine with lemonade and ice in it. Not really relevant to the story, just shows she is clearly insane. Her boyfriend came in. They had a huge domestic in front of my manager and several customers, and she threw her drink over her boyfriend and dramatically stormed out.
We used to bet on which new hire would last longer than a week. Gets hired, celebrates new job, drug tested, gone by lunch.
This is the opposite route here, but I found it amusing. My boss was out of town, and I managed a tea shop near a Starbucks years ago. This kid came in for it and said he was supposed to start today. We were hiring, and I trained him, etc. My boss came back 2 days later and had no idea. The kid was in the wrong place, but he stayed with us. Hired on the spot without even applying.
She was hired because the manager thought she was hot. Turned out she was 15 and unable to actually work there.
New guy drove a forklift into a fire hydrant in front of a safety rep for the company. His supervisor was called over, and he immediately tells the supervisor that he won't pass a piss test as he used his only bottle of clean piss earlier that day when he hired in. Everybody standing there immediately burst into laughter, which continued as security, also lagging, escorted him off-site. Even the supervisor was all smiles, just gave him a pat on the back and wished him the best of luck. It was wild.